I would say if you don't really, really love the thing that you're going to start, it's going to be really challenging for you because we have the luxury in our life to change jobs or change companies or change things. And what's really great about my company is it and our industry.
Welcome to A Founder's Life. I'm your host, Leo Gestetner. On this show, we dive into the real stories behind the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and how we pursue a more balanced and meaningful life along the way. This podcast is sponsored by Thankz, helping founders like us scale with reliable remote talent. Founders at thankz.com, that's THANKZ.com, with the subject line, A Founder's Life, and you'll receive $1,000 off your first month. Now, I'm excited today to be joined by Haley Hunter. Haley, thank you for being with us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm Haley Hunter. I'm a co-founder of an advertising agency, creative agency called Partyland. I founded the agency with my partner about 8 years ago. Have put a stake in the ground that we specialize in comedy and just big game-changing ideas for various brands. And I'm also a mother of two. I live in Colorado. My agency is based in Los Angeles, so I'm there quite a bit, but I get to enjoy the mountains and the weather and a little bit slower lifestyle pace here in Colorado.
Lovely. And do you want to talk a little bit about your journey that brought you to what you're doing now, and then just a little more about what you're doing for your clients? Like the way you go about it as an agency is pretty unusual.
Yes, I have had several agencies in my background, and then I've worked in a couple of different industries. I really have fallen into everything. Maybe it's a little bit stumbling up the stairs, I guess. My first advertising job was I got an internship at 72 and Sunny. That's where I, unbeknownst to me at the time, met my future partner, Matt Heath. And I did a lot of different things at 72 and Sunny in a short period, and I learned a lot. And then I left advertising for a number of years because I'm like, you guys are crazy. What are we doing here? I didn't know if it was something that I aspired to do. And I honestly didn't really know what I was doing. So maybe I was a little bit too young to have gotten into it at that point. I left advertising and worked for just a number of entrepreneurs around Southern California, Los Angeles and Santa Barbara and beyond, and got into real estate. I did corporate hotel management. I helped manage restaurants from the office and just a bunch of different things. I've managed an avocado orchard, you name it. So I think a really fun thing for me then at such a young age is I was working so closely alongside entrepreneurs that did so many things, and I got exposed to wearing a lot of hats and running their entities basically. So after I just started to get a little bit tired of that, I was going to take about 6 months off and just enjoy Los Angeles. I had saved some money and I quit my job. And a week later, got a phone call from an agency, an ad agency, looking just for somebody to cover a maternity leave for 3 months. And I was like, okay, well, instead of taking time off, this sounds fun. It was just like a job that was not going to be a very high stress situation. And it felt like it could just be fill my time. And instead of going in for 3 months and covering as an admin assistant, I ended up staying for 3.5 years, helped open the LA branch of that agency, ran the operations, talent acquisition. It was a small agency, so jumped into all kinds of different things there. And that's when I realized that I was just in love with the advertising industry and the people in it and what we stood for. Since then, I've been at a few different agencies, and I think what's a little bit unique to me as a founder is I have done almost every job in advertising at a creative agency besides being a creative. I've run productions, recruiting talent, operations, and then as you know, at a small agency, you could also be the IT person and the party planner and the travel planner and so on. So all of those experiences and then moving on to larger agencies and bouncing back to small, I think have helped me run Partyland the way that I do because I've essentially, to probably a mid to senior level, done the job of almost everybody that works for me. So I'm able to identify how can I bring in talent that is better than me at what they do, because we all know that we don't want to be the smartest person in the room and we want we're only as good as the people that we surround ourselves with. So it's been an interesting trajectory, but I think I knew for a long time that I wanted to oversee something. I don't know if I really saw myself as an entrepreneur, but here I am, and it seems to be working, and I enjoy it quite a bit.
Well, thank you. And I often say that same. I love that you said that you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You like to hire the smartest person in the room. I'm a big believer in that. I think most successful entrepreneurs are, but certainly not all. There's certainly plenty that have an ego and want to be the smartest person in the room, whether they are or aren't, but they want to believe they are. And much better to hire that person.
I've gotten really good
Uh,
at showing up to situations where I don't know what I'm doing, and I think it's changed me as a person for sure, not knowing what to expect, and I think when you get good at that, you get good at a lot of things that follow.
Very true. And tell us a little more about how family looks for you. You mentioned you've got a couple of kids.
Yes. So I grew up in Colorado and I left less than 18 hours after I graduated high school. And I packed up my U-Haul, went to graduation, and then drove away and spent about 20 years in California with a brief couple of years in Minneapolis for an ad agency there called Fallon. And then I came back here about 5 years ago, and my family's here. My kids absolutely love it. And it's nice to have family around and nature. Yeah, my kids are really happy. I have a fifth grader and a second grader. They love school. They love walking to school. They get to go fishing and paddleboarding and hiking and all of those things during the summer. I say they because I'm home usually working while my kids are at camp living their best lives. And then we do other things like play sports and just go out and do things. We travel a lot as a family. I think if I got to choose between going on a trip with grown-ups and friends and with my kids, I would probably choose to travel with my kids because it's one of my favorite things that we do together.
Lovely. And what do you like to do for health? How does health look for you, whether that be mental health, physical health, nutrition?
I think that I'm a pretty balanced person by nature, and I always have eaten really healthy. I tend to enjoy playing versus, feel like I'm working really hard. So a lot of our physical fitness and activity comes from going out and making it a fun thing. I'm really big with myself and my kids on trying new things and feeling like you can go anywhere and try something new and it's fine. Like you don't need to show up and have gloves to do something because you're obviously a professional once you get the gloves. So, for example, we play pickleball. Like we have pickleball courts near my house and we had never done it. So one day we went and bought paddles and now we play pickleball every other week and we bring friends with us every time and we have a picnic and we play and we bring the dog and it's really fun. So I think it's just going to try new things and making it fun and knowing that a lot of those things around sports and activity don't necessarily need to be about competition and being really good at it. It can be about just fun and movement and health. So that's how we spend a lot of our evenings and our weekends. And then nutrition's a big thing to me. And then mental health, I would say one of the biggest and most impactful things in my life and for my mental health is practicing gratitude every day. And that comes down to just being on a walk today, this morning, and my daughter saying, I love this walk. This is the best part of my day. Or knowing that when I go pick my kids up from school today, I'm literally going to get on my 7-year-old son's bike, which is very small, and my knees are going to be sticking out the side because he loves riding his bike home, and I've got to get his bike there. So just building in those small moments and appreciating the simple things, I think has been a really good thing for us. I think also at the agency because a lot of what we do for our brands is find what's important and special to them. And there's a lot of positivity and, gratitude involved in the mindset in order to do that for them.
Makes sense. And say, what do you like to do for fun? I suspect you've just listed what you like to do for fun, but anything else that you like to do for fun?
I mean, that's it. I like what I do. Luckily, I love my job because it takes a lot of my time. So if I wasn't having fun on the phone calls with my people and laughing at the work we make in the process, then I wouldn't be doing it. So it really is family and work are the big things in my life, and I enjoy both of them very much.
And for you, how would you say a balanced life looks? That sort of overall balance, not perfectly in balance because none of us are, but how does an overall balanced life look for you?
I think that I don't really know if I have like work life balance or if I really even believe that that's a thing in my life because so much of my company is me and I feel so indebted to the people that work for me. So I work a lot. I'm the mom at volleyball practice with my laptop. But also not all of the parents are able to be there. I go and my kids understand and I get to look up and cheer and also give them a little bit of space to be there without me being a helicopter parent. But I like what I do. I like to work. I spend a lot of time doing it and then I spend time with my kids and I'm usually pretty good at separating those two things, but I think my kids are at the age now where they appreciate seeing what their mom does and what it brings into our life.
Yeah, I mean, my kids have spent their life seeing me work, and that's fine. But they also know that I can be completely present when I'm with them. So I don't think a balanced life means that things need to be perfect. I think we're entrepreneurs. By the nature of it, we're sort of always working. An entrepreneur rarely truly switches off. You're thinking, you're
Yeah. I actually think though, I don't work a lot of weekends anymore. I used to. It used to be nights and weekends, but I think in service of my employees, I need to set an example and also for myself and my kids. So there's a lot of forced balance, I think, that comes with being a parent and running a company that I probably otherwise would not have applied to my life, but because of how it affects other people, I think it helps me make the right decision for myself too.
and what's been a pivotal moment in your life?
Goodness. It's so funny. I don't think that we realize those things are happening when they're happening because I think some of the pivotal moments are huge and they don't feel that way. Some of the biggest decisions I've made in my life have been in moments where it was just such a natural decision that you weren't thinking that hard about it or there was no looking back. And some of those things was when I moved to California. I knew my whole life I wanted to go, and everybody was like, "You're crazy," or "It's so expensive," or "What about your friends and what about your family?" It was just no question, and that was a massive thing for me in my life. Getting married was a huge deal because that's your partner and who you're gonna have kids with and so on, starting a company. So I think just I actually really enjoyed listening to your podcast and the other guests that you talk to because I think that this is a really good opportunity for us to do a bit of an audit and celebrate your wins maybe or think about the people that have helped you get here and why or even appreciate what you've done to get yourself there and I just think that there's like a naturalness to the things that should happen that make it feel really easy and we need to take a minute to look back and see what those are sometimes. I still can't believe by the way that I started a company and that I own a successful ad agency that wins awards and that I see online sometimes that we're the dream agency where somebody wants to work. Like, oh my gosh, that's a big deal. And I just appreciate being able to think about that every now and then.
Congratulations. I love that.
Thank you.
What's a piece of advice you would give to an aspiring entrepreneur?
I would say if you don't really, really love the thing that you're going to start, it's going to be really challenging for you because we have the luxury in our life to change jobs or change companies or change things. And what's really great about my company is it and our industry that's very much attached to culture and the economy and audiences. And those are all things that are constantly changing and evolving. So luckily, this is not the same thing that it was on day 1, and I love that, but if I didn't it's a hard, hard job to do. It's stressful. You carry a lot of weight for a lot of things from your clients and their budgets and their jobs and then the people that work for you. So, I just think you really need to love it and you need to be committed to it and know why you're doing it. There needs to be a purpose behind what you're doing, not just there's a niche here, which we have fallen into the niches very well because of what we care about. So, purpose and absolute intention and passion for what you're doing.
Excellent. And how can people find you?
Partyland's website, partyland.co. We're all over LinkedIn. And then if you're ever watching TV, you might see some of our commercials. And if you're laughing, you think they're great and you like the products and the brands and you find the agency behind them, sometimes it'll be us. So that's another really great way. But Partyland services brands that fall into a few categories: challengers, icons, and functionalists. And a lot of those have overlap. And we specialize in making just really entertaining content that also gets the insight and the importance of the brand and the product aside. So it tends to be it is always very, very effective work for the brand. So oftentimes when I hear from brands that want to work with us, it's because they believe in the fact that they are not just competing against their category. Liquid Death, for example, is not competing against water, they're competing against culture. And that's how we make the work that we make at our agency.
It's just a fantastic brand.
Yes.
Everything I read about what they did with that, and how it came to be is that's a whole story on its own.
It is. It's big. Yes, absolutely.
Definitely impressive. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, and leave a review.